Today we are at Photo Mission, where we will be retouching this photograph here on this gray bluish muslin background and be replacing it with this medium gray background. One of the first things that we need to do is we need to make sure that the original photo is in the size and the orientation that ultimately the photo will be. So let's click on our crop tool. The crop tool has certain dimensions you can plug in. We'll put in the width as 10. We'll put in the height as 8 inches. And we want the resolution to be 300 dpi. As you can see, the photograph is off center. So what we need to do is we need to crop it and center it. So we'll expand our box, bring the box down. Once you have the box where you like it, you right click, you crop it. Now you should have an 8 by 10 inch photograph at 300 dpi. The way you check that is you go to image, image size, right here, height 8 inches, width 10 inches, resolution 300 dpi. We click OK. Now that you have your original photo sized and orientated the way you want, you can proceed to the next step. The next step we're moving on to now is checking that our background template is the correct size for our final photograph. So here is our medium gray backdrop. It's selected. We go to image, image size. It is also 8 inches high by 10 inches wide at 300 dpi. This is very important because if this is not the same size as your actual photograph, your dimensions will be off, the sizing will be off, things won't match up. It just doesn't work. So what we need to do now is create one document. So what we'll do is we'll select the photograph. I click my drag tool. I don't have any layers. If I had layers, I would have to merge all the visible layers. That way I could drag the picture as a whole. There are many ways to do this. You could copy and paste it. I just click it, I drag it, it drops in. So now I'll expand this box and you'll see it'll snap right into place because they're both 8 by 10 at 300 dpi. So it snaps right in, and now I have my template and I'm ready to begin stripping out this gray muslin background. Now, the next step, we need to remove this background and show the underlying gray background. We see here we have 2 layers. Our photograph is on the first layer and our medium gray background is the background layer. You could always switch back and forth to layers. You just take this eyeball, you shut this eyeball off, and that's the little eyeball that shows the top layer, or you click it and it turns back on. There are many ways to remove this background depending on what you're doing, depending on how you like to work. One particular tool I like to use are the two selection tools over here. Magic wand tool. If you right click, you see you have the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. For this purpose, I'm going to use the magic wand tool. The magic wand tool has a tolerance level, and what the tolerance is it selects different amounts and different shadings that are similar to each other. You can see here I have the tolerance set to 15. I'll show you what that does. If I click here in this gray area here, it selects around her head. I can deselect that for a moment, and I can show you if I set the tolerance to, let's say, 50, and I click, see how much more it selects? It selects more of that color. So you really have to decide and play around with it for your given photograph and see exactly what works best for you. For this instance, 15 I believe will work best. So now at a tolerance set of 15, what I will do is I will select this gray area here, and you see it only selects a certain portion. That's how the tolerance setting works. What I can do is you come up over here and you'll see where it says add to selection. Initially we had new selection. Now what we'd like to do is add to the selection. In the same respect, if it selects an area you don't like, you can subtract from a given selection. So we will click on add to selection and we'll continue to add around her head. So what happens is it jumps to this big area, which is fine. So this whole area here is selected. We don't have this area selected. So what we'll do is add to selection, and we'll click there. And it joins the corresponding selected area. You don't have to go crazy with this. This is just a quick way to get rid of your background, and then what we'll do is we'll go in with the eraser tool and we'll clean it up. So you continue to go around adding to your selection. But what happens is with the magic wand tool, it jumps onto her suit. We do not want to erase her suit. So Control Z backs you up. So what we'll do next is, now that I'm happy with the selection, like I said, it's just a rough, quick way to get yourself going, is we'll hit delete, and now it shows the underlying gray background. Now that we have our selection process started and we've already revealed some of the gray background behind the original photograph, next is deselect my selected area. Deselect. Now I'm left with the new background and partial of the old background. There are many ways you can go about cleaning this up. The quickest way is just to select your eraser tool, and if you right click on your eraser tool, you have a few different things. You have the eraser tool, the background eraser tool, and the magic eraser tool. We can get into these two tools at a later time. For now, I will select the eraser tool, and you see the size of my circle. You can make that bigger, smaller. You hit brush, this is your master diameter. Your hardness, which is the hardness of the edge that you will be erasing, and you also have your opacity. As you slide the opacity down, you see the numbers are going down. That will erase less or more of the background that you're looking to erase. We also have the airbrush tool, which I like to use. It feathers the edge slightly. It gives it a more natural look, and you don't necessarily have to come right on top of the photograph to erase your edge. So for this, I want to totally erase the background, so I'll set my opacity to 100, and I want to erase this area here. So what I will do is I will set my diameter larger, so I cover more of a given area at a time. And I just click and hold, and I begin to erase. And you see we start to expose the background that's underneath. Now, just quickly erase the larger areas, and you'll see how everything is just disappearing and exposing the background underneath. So now what I'd like to do is I go to a smaller diameter, and I bring my hardness down slightly, because now we'll go around the hair area, and we'll start to come in here and get some of the details. Just be nice and careful. And this is where the airbrush tool, the airbrush brush setting over here comes in handy, because it allows us to feather right around the edges of the suit. Come in here, clean this up. Now it also helps because the original background was close in color to the new background. So I'm cleaning up around the edges of the suit. Now, just for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to go crazy and go in here and get every little wisp of hair and all that stuff, but you get the general idea of how to erase the background. So here we are, we have the new background. She looks good, and she's on a gray background. You can go in and change the different diameters, the different hardnesses, the different settings, and really get in there and fine-tune the area around her suit and around her hair and make it look like she was originally photographed in this background.